The lecture hall is packed. 400 students shoulder to shoulder. Phones already half raised like they can smell blood in the air. Professor Lang has been on a tear all semester, sharp tongue, sharper ego. And today his crosshairs land on the woman in the very last row who never speaks, never raises her hand, always leaves the second the clock hits the hour. Plain black sweater, hair twisted up with a pencil, chipped nail polish. The kind of person you forget 5 seconds after you see her. Lang spins from the board mid-sentence. Marker still dripping. You. Back row. Gray sweater. You look like you're daydreaming about grocery lists. Come solve this. He slaps a problem across the projector. So fast the slide transition can't even keep up. It's a deliberate monstrosity. A fourth-order nonlinear PD coupled with boundary condition that forces you into elliptic functions nobody in the room has touched since grad school. The grad students up front actually wince. Someone mutters, "That's not even on the syllabus. That's IMO-level cruelty." Laughter ripples. A dozen red recording dots blink alive. The woman doesn't flinch. She closes her spiral notebook, the cover held together by duct tape, slips out her seat, and walks down the steps like the room isn't roaring around her is happening underwater. Lang folds his arms, smirking. No rush. We'll wait. She steps to the board, takes the marker, and for the first 6 seconds does absolutely nothing except stare at the equation the way a sniper stares down a scope. Then her hand moves. It doesn't move fast. It moves like it already knows exactly where every line belongs. She rewrites the entire problem in a single line using a substitution nobody in the room has ever seen. Second line. She pulls out a symmetry that makes the strongest student in the front row whisper, "Holy shit," loud enough for the mic to catch it. By the 30-second mark, Lang's smirk has frozen solid. By the 50th second, he stepped forward, eyes wide, mouth actually open. She finishes with one quiet underline, caps the marker, and steps back. The board now contains a complete solution in 9 lines. 9. And beneath it, in small, almost shy handwriting, alternate method using quaternionic analysis available if anyone wants it. Dead silence. Then chaos. The room detonates. Screaming, applause. Someone literally stands on their chair. Lang looks like he's been hit by a truck made of humility. He tries to speak, can't, clears his throat twice, and finally manages a crack. "Well, where did you study?" She shrugs, voice soft, accent you can't quite place. "My mother was sick a lot when I was little. I sat next to her bed and read whatever books the nurses left in the ward. There wasn't much else to do." The guy filming zooms in on Lang's face as every drop of arrogance drains out of it in real time. Lang stares at the board another 10 seconds, then does something that will be gifted a billion times in the next 48 hours. He takes off his own university lanyard, loops around her neck like a medal, and says, voice shaking, "Class is over. Everyone else can leave. You and I are staying right here until I understand what I just witnessed." The video cuts as the doors close, and the two of them are left alone under the humming fluorescent lights. That clip broke the internet in 11 hours. But the real story starts 3 nights later. Security footage, leaked by a night guard who got fired for it, shows the same woman letting herself back into the empty building at 2:14 a.m. with a janitor's keycard everybody thought had been deactivated. She's carrying nothing but that same battered notebook. She walks straight to the same lecture hall, flips on only the lights above the main board, and starts writing again. Not the same problem. Something much worse. For 4 straight hours, she fills every inch of the 3 massive white boards, then the sideboards, then starts on the windows with dry erase marker, because she's run out of space. At 6:07 a.m. she stops, takes 1 step back, and just looks at it. Whatever she wrote. The camera is too far away to capture clearly, but the one frame that's sharp enough shows a single phrase in the bottom corner. For Elena, who never got to finish her degree. Then she erases everything with her sleeve, every last line, until the boards are blank again, picks up her notebook, and walks out. Nobody has seen her since. The university wiped the security drives, but not before a copy got out. I watched that grainy 4-hour timestamp frame by frame, and I'm telling you right now, what she put on those boards wasn't just advanced. It looked like she was solving something that isn't supposed to have a solution yet. And at exactly the 3-hour, 33-minute mark, she pauses, turns straight toward the camera like she knows it's there, and mouths 2 words you can just barely read on her lips. Not yet. Then she goes back to writing. People think the viral video was the story. It wasn't. It was the invitation. And whatever happens next hasn't happened yet. But when it does, the entire world is going to feel it. I've been chasing her for 14 months now. I know which hostel in Krakow she stayed at for 9 days. I know the train ticket she bought to a city that doesn't officially exist on any map. I know the fake name she's using. And 3 nights ago, my inbox received a single photograph. No text, no subject line, no sender name. It's a fresh whiteboard, somewhere dark, lit only by a desk lamp. One equation, my name written underneath it. And in the bottom corner, in handwriting I would now recognize anywhere, catch up. So if you're watching this, I'm already gone. The photo hit my phone at 3:07 a.m. local time. No metadata, no YXIF, just a raw image and a timestamp burned into the corner like someone wanted me to know exactly when it was taken. 2 hours, 51 minutes, and 13 seconds the night before. I stared at it until the screen went black on its own. The equation wasn't long. 8 symbols, 1 fraction. A weird little superscript that looked like a backwards epsilon with a slash through it. I've never seen that notation in any published paper. Not in AR-14. Not in the old Soviet journals. Not even in the scanned notebooks of the dead, legends people trade like contraband. Underneath my name, she had written 2 more lines, smaller, almost apologetic. You asked for proof. This is the door, not the key. I didn't sleep. I open every private channel I have. The group chats where postdocs admit they're lost. The Discord servers that still think they're hidden. The old IRC room where the real lunatics never left. And dropped the photo with no comment. The room went dead for 37 seconds. Then the smartest person I know, a Fields medalist who hasn't used his real name online since 2009, typed a single word. Fuck. After that, it was panic in 9 languages. Someone recognized the slashed epsilon as a canceled ghost operator from a 1973 paper that was retracted the same week it was published. Someone else noticed a fraction was exactly the continued fraction approximate for a constant that shows up in quantum chaos, but has never been proven irrational. Within 2 hours, the photo had been mirrored to 47 countries, and the original file was gone from my phone like it had never existed. At 6:12 a.m., my doorbell rang. 2 people on the doorstep, wearing courier jackets that didn't quite fit right. No logos. One of them handed me a padded envelope and said, in perfect, unaccented English, she said, "You try to open it before Vienna. Don't." They left before I could ask who she was. Inside the envelope, a single Polaroid and a train ticket. The Polaroid showed the same whiteboard from the anonymous photo, but taken from a different angle, closer. In the foreground, her hand, small scar across the knuckles I remember from the lecture hall video, holding the marker midstroke. On the bottom edge of the frame, written directly on the glossy photo, with a ballpoint that dug into the emotion, window seat, don't speak until the border. The ticket was for the 1945 night train from my city to Wien Hauptbahnhof, second-class sleeper, compartment 4, berth 33. Departure in 11 hours. I've been on the move ever since. I'm riding this in a train now, somewhere south of Brno, the carriage rocking gently, lights dim to that sickly orange that makes everyone look half dead. The corridor is empty except for the conductor who checked my ticket twice and wouldn't meet my eyes a second time. My phone has no signal, hasn't had since we crossed the last tunnel. The laptop battery is at 11%. When it dies, this stops. Compartment 4 is supposed to be mine alone. It isn't. She's sitting opposite me. Same gray hoodie. Same chip nail polish. Headphones around her neck like always. She's been here the whole time. I swear the seat was empty when I boarded. She hasn't looked up once from the notebook on her lap. The page is covered in symbols, so dense it looks black from here. Every few minutes she tears a sheet out, folds it into a perfect square, and slides into a plain white envelope. There are already 19 envelopes in a neat stack beside her. When the stack hits 20, she finally speaks, voice exactly as soft as in the lecture hall all those months ago. "You came," she says, not a question. I managed to nod. "Good," she says, "because the proof is too big for one lifetime, and I'm running out of borrowed time." She closes the notebook. For the first time, I see the cover clearly. It's not duct tape holding it together. It's layers of hospital wristbands, plastic edges worn soft, names and dates faded but still legible. Dozens of them, maybe hundreds. She taps the stack of envelopes. 20 cities, she says, 20 fragments. When they're all delivered, the pattern locks. Not before. She slides a 20th envelope across the little table between us. My name is on it, written in the same handwriting as the Polaroid. "Don't open it yet," she says. "Not until you're standing in front of the blackboard in Kyoto where the last piece is waiting. You'll know the one." The train lurches. The lights flicker once, hard. When they come back on, the seat across from me is empty again. The envelopes are gone. Only mine remains, heavier than it should be. Outside the window, dawn is starting to bleed across the fields. But the glass shows no reflection of anyone else in the compartment. Just me, holding an envelope that feels warm. The battery icon just blinked red. Somewhere up ahead, the train is already slowing for a border that isn't marked on any map I've ever seen. And whatever happens when we cross it, there's no going back. I can feel the numbers rearranging themselves inside my head, like they've been waiting for permission. We're not hunting her anymore. She's herding us. And the next station isn't on any timetable point 3.8 S fast. There is no platform, no sign, no jolt of brakes. One moment the window is full of pale Moravian countryside. The next it is black, perfect black. The kind that swallows sound. The lights inside the compartment go out at the same instant. Not flicker. Gone. I sit in total darkness for a count of maybe 5 heartbeats before a single strip of cold white light appears under the door to the corridor. It grows brighter, steady, like someone is walking toward me carrying something that burns without heat. The envelope in my hand vibrates once, a short, sharp pulse, almost painful against my fingertips. Then the door slides open by itself. She's standing in the corridor, backlit, hoodied down for the first time. Her hair is shorter than I remember, uneven, like she cut it herself with kitchen scissors. The light behind her is coming from nowhere and everywhere. She doesn't step inside. She just looks at me and says very quietly, "Leave the train." I start to ask how. There is no station. There are no doors open. We are still moving. I can feel the rhythm of the wheels. She tilts her head, the way someone does when they're listening to music only they can hear. "The train left the tracks 37 seconds ago," she says. "You just haven't noticed yet." I look down. The floor is still vibrating, but the sound is wrong now. Deeper, like something enormous breathing under us. She extends her hand. Palm up, the scar across her knuckles catches the light. "If you stay," the envelope opens itself and you forget everything. That's the rule. The train keeps what it carries past the border. I stand. My legs work. But the compartment feels tilted, as if gravity has shifted a few degrees sideways. I take one step toward her. The moment my foot crosses the threshold, the carriage behind me vanishes. Not darkens, vanishes. One heartbeat it's there. The next I'm standing on bare iron grating suspended in black space. Stars beneath my feet instead of above. She is already walking away along a narrow catwalk that definitely wasn't there a second ago. It stretches straight into the dark, lit only by faint blue lines running along its edges like circuit traces. I follow because there is nothing else to do. Behind us, the train is still moving. I can see its windows sliding past like a film strip. Every compartment occupied by a version of me still sitting in the orange light, staring at an empty seat across the table, holding an envelope that is no longer in my hand. None of them look up. We walk for what might be minutes or hours. Distance behaves strangely here. The catwalk never curves, but stars will overhead faster than they should. Eventually, the grating ends at a circular platform no wider than a kitchen table, floating alone. In the center stands a blackboard, not a whiteboard. Real slate green-black, the kind that hasn't been installed in a school since the 1980s. There is chalk dust on the ledge thick enough to leave fingerprints. She steps aside. "Your turn," she says. I look at the board. It is blank except for one line already written in her handwriting near the top left corner. "Begin where Lang failed." My envelope is suddenly in my hand again, heavier than before, warm enough that I almost drop it. I tear it open. Inside is a single photograph and a piece of chalk the color of dried blood. The photograph is old, edges scalloped, taken in a hospital corridor. A little girl no older than 7 sits cross-legged on a linoleum floor, surrounded by towering stacks of library books. She is solving something on a napkin with a crayon. Behind her, a woman in a hospital gown leans against the wall, for a line trailing, watching with a smile that hurts to look at. On the back of the photo, in faded ink, Elena, 1997. She never saw me finish it. I understand, not with words, but the way you understand hunger. I step forward and start writing. The chalk moves by itself half the time, my hand just along for the ride. Symbols pour out that I have never studied, never seen, never dreamed. They slot together with a sound like gears locking in a vault that was built before the universe cooled. She watches without blinking. Time stops matching entirely. At some point I become aware of others on the platform, never arriving, simply there. A woman in a 1940s coat, holding a slide rule. A teenage boy with burned scars across half his face, and a laptop that shouldn't exist yet. An old man whose eyes are completely white, but who nods each time I place a line correctly. None of them speak. They just watch. The way people watch a surgeon who is operating on the patient they love most. I write until board is full, then keep writing, and the board grows to make room. Equations cascade down the sides, across the floor, up into the air where they hang glowing like frost. When the last line is complete, the entire structure, every symbol, every proof, every ghost of every mathematician who ever lived just outside the light, folds itself into a single point no bigger than a period at the end of a sentence. The point hovers for one breath. Then it drops into her waiting hand. She closes her fist around it. The platform dissolves. I am standing in Kyoto, inside a small lecture room that smells of tatami and old chalk. Moonlight comes through paper screens. The blackboard in front of me is already covered in her handwriting, edge to edge. No space left. There is one empty corner, bottom right, exactly the size of a postcard. She is not here, but her voice is soft, close, almost inside my ear. "One more," she whispers. Then we wake them all up. I raise the red chalk. Outside, somewhere far away, I can hear the world beginning to turn again, faster now, like a film reel catching up to frame where everything changes forever. My hand touches the board, and I still haven't stopped writing. The chalk is almost gone now, worn down to a splinter that bites into my fingers. But I can't stop. The symbols keep coming, faster than thought, faster than fear. They aren't mine anymore. They're just moving through me like water through a pipe that was soldered before I was born. Each line I add makes the room breathe. The tatami lifts a millimeter off the floor and settles again. The paper screens glow from within, not with moonlight, but with something colder, the color of equations that have never been spoken aloud. The air thickens until every inhale tastes like copper and wintergreen. I reach the final corner. There's exactly enough space for one more symbol. I know what it is before my hand moves. It's the backward slashed epsilon from the photograph, the one that made the field's medalist swear under his breath. But now I understand what the slash really means. Cancellation that isn't cancellation, a deletion that leaves a ghost behind on purpose. I draw it. The instant the chalk leaves the slate, every line on the board ignites. Not metaphorically. Real white fire races along the chalk, eating it but never consuming, looping back on itself like a living circuit. The equations lift off the surface and hang in the air, rotating slowly, folding, interlocking, becoming something three-dimensional that hurts to look at directly. The temperature plummets, so fast my breath crystallizes midair. Then the room is full of people who were never there a heartbeat ago. Elena first, tall, thin, hospital gown hanging loose on her shoulders, for Stan still trailing behind her like a faithful dog. She looks exactly like the photograph, only older than time. She smiles at me the way a mother smiles when her child finally says the word she waited years to hear. Behind her, hundreds, thousands, every mathematician who died with an unfinished proof, every kid who got laughed out of classroom, every woman who was told numbers weren't for her. They fill the small room until the walls have to stretch outward just to hold them. None of them cast shadows. Elena steps forward and places her hand over mine on the board. Her palm is warm. "Real. Thank you," she says, and her voice is every hospital monitor flatlining and then beeping again. The burning equations collapse inward, compressing, shrinking, racing toward the single symbol I just drew. They vanish into it with a sound like every library in the world closing its doors at the exact same moment. Silence. Then the symbol cracks. Light, not bright, not dark, the color of understanding, pours out a fracture and floods a room, the building, the city, the planet. I feel it pass through me the way lightning passes through a tree without splitting it. Somewhere very far away, a server farm in Nevada experiences a power surge that no one can explain. Somewhere closer, a little girl in Lagos solves a problem her teacher swore was impossible and looks up confused because the answer just arrived in her head fully formed. Somewhere else, an old man in a nursing home who hasn't spoken in 12 years suddenly whispers a proof that was declared dead in 1957. The light fades. The room is empty again except for me, Elena, and the woman in the gray hoodie. The blackboard is blank, not erased, blank like it was never made in the first place. Elena leans in and kisses my forehead, the way you kiss a child who has just handed you the moon. "Your part is finished," she says. The woman in the hoodie finally speaks. "No," she corrects gently. "His part is just beginning." She reaches into her pocket and pulls out a fresh piece of red chalk, longer than the last, still wrapped in paper the color of dry blood. She hands it to me. "There are more boards," she says. "Many more, and the world is running out of people willing to stand in front of them." Elena is already dissolving, turning into chalk dust that swirls upward and out through the ceiling like reverse snow. Before she vanishes completely, she looks back once. "Tell them," she says, "that being laughed at was never the worst thing that could happen to a person." Then she's gone. The woman in the hoodie pulls her hood up. The scar on her knuckles catches the first hint of real dawn coming through the screens. She walks to the door, pauses. "Vienna was only the first city," she says without turning. "The second one doesn't have a name yet, but it's waiting." The door slides open onto a street I don't recognize. Kyoto is still there, but different, quieter, sharper, like the city just woke up from a dream it didn't know it was having. She steps outside. I follow, chalk heavy in my pocket, the taste of wintergreen still on my tongue. Behind us, the lecture room folds in on itself and disappears, taking the blank blackboard with it. Ahead, the horizon is starting to write itself in symbols only a few of us will ever be able to read. And somewhere a long way off, another arrogant professor is about to call on another quiet woman in the back row. This time, the laughter will stop before it even begins. We keep walking. Years later, when the history books finally try to tell it, they will call it the quiet year. No wars ended. No markets crashed. Nothing dramatic enough for headlines. Just all over the world, on the same ordinary Tuesday, thousands of classrooms went silent at once. Professors reached for their favorite cruel problems and found their markers suddenly dry. Bully students opened their mouths to mock and tasted chalk dust instead. Every whiteboard, every blackboard, every scrap of paper in every lecture hall on the planet carried the same faint red symbol in the bottom right corner, the backward slashed epsilon that means deletion and resurrection at the same time. And beneath it, in handwriting that belonged to no living teacher, one line: "She was never yours to laugh at." That was all. The laughter stopped. Not forever, just long enough. Long enough for quiet ones in the back row to stand up, walk to the front, and begin writing things no one had dared to finish before. I still carry the red chalk. It never gets shorter. Sometimes, late at night, I find myself in empty lecture halls I have never visited, in cities whose names I can't pronounce. The boards are always waiting, already covered edge to edge in her handwriting. One empty corner left for me. I fill it. Then I leave before sunrise. She is out there somewhere, still wearing the same gray hoodie, still adding hospital wristbands to the cover of a notebook that will never be full. We don't speak anymore. We don't need to. Every time a shy woman, or a poor kid, or anyone in the world decided didn't belong near a proof is handed an impossible problem and told to fail quietly, she is already standing behind them, and the chalk is already moving. The story never really ended. It just stopped being ours alone. Now it belongs to every person who has ever laughed at for daring to think too hard. And every time one of them finishes what they started, somewhere Elena smiles. Somewhere, a train that never quite arrives keeps rolling through the dark. And somewhere else, a woman in a gray hoodie pulls her headphones down, listens to numbers singing, and walks toward the next empty board. The proof is complete, but the writing never stops.